Dreo challenged me to recreate my washed flour seitan, but only cooking it in the Dreo ChefMaker, today's sponsor. I wanted to see if I can do it. So I'm gonna make my washed flour chicken, and I kind of wanted to up the ante a little bit and make a sauce, kind of make a like a chicken kind of pasta thing, and see if we can get like this result, but only using a Dreo ChefMaker. So let's get rolling. This one's gonna be fun.
First, we need our ball of dough. So that's gonna start with some all-purpose flour. I mean, it's what I had, but if you have bread flour, you're gonna end up with a higher yield of gluten, since this is about 11% protein and bread flour will give you about 12.7% of protein. Now, I'm gonna start with about 3 cups of flour and 1 3/4 cup of water, which ended up being a little bit too much, but that's okay. I'm gonna mix this in with a spatula until it gets nice and flaky and then start kneading in by hand. We're not gonna be kneading a whole lot because we're gonna be using autolyze, but I do want to kind of mix this until all of the flour is pulled away from the bowl. I'm going to roll it out onto my work surface, give it a few little kneads until it's a nice tight dough ball, and then we're just going to toss it back in the bowl, cover it up, toss it in the oven, just let it kind of rest for about an hour. So after it rested, you could see this is super stretchy, really sticky still. So I just slowly rolled it out onto my floured cutting board and started stretching, folding, and kneading. I wanted to work this into like a firm dough ball. Now, once we have our dough ball, we have enough gluten formed to make our seitan, which is what we're doing here. Now it just needs to be washed. We're literally going to be washing this with cold water. That's what's going to remove the starches and fibers and leave us with almost entirely protein, pure gluten. Now to wash it, I'm just going to be using cold water in a bowl. I'm going to be kneading it. I'm not going to let the water run because I want to knead it in those starches, kind of create a big milky, super milky broth that we're going to be saving. We're going to be using that wheat starch later. It's pretty cool what you could do with that stuff. So once we pour that out, I'm going to add some more water, and I'm going to keep repeating that step until the water gets a lot less creamy. It's almost going to be kind of clear, a little translucent. And what you're left with is pure gluten, just gluten blob here. For chicken, I'm going to have it pretty much starch-free, but if you're going to be making like a beef or something like that, you might want to leave some starches in there because that will actually kind of help with some marbling. Now, I'm just going to keep stretching this out, trying to get the strands into, the same direction, which is going to be pretty impossible. But at this point, we're just going to season it. I'm just going to add some onion powder, garlic powder, and this stuff right here, which is yeast extract. That's going to make it meaty. Now, we're just going to fold it up like an envelope, roll it, and toss it into a bowl, cover it with a towel, and we're going to let it rest for about 30 minutes. Now, after it's rested, I just want to stretch it out one more time, knot it up, and then we're going to wrap it in parchment paper and foil. Now, before we can entirely wrap it in foil, I'm going to be using this temperature probe in the Dreo, which is going to help me kind of hit that target temperature that I want without overcooking it for the first cook. This is going to require a few cooks to get it like very meaty, to get that seitan working really well. The first cook is just to get most of that seitan kind of cooked through without it bubbling up like bread. I'm going to be using the Dreo, and we're going to cook it to an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temp that gluten starts changing its structure. Now, to denature gluten, you're talking wildly hot, like in the 500-degree range, and that's not what we're doing here. We just want the gluten to kind of start to firm up.
Okay, so while this is cooking, I'm just gonna watch the temp from my app and tell you a little bit more about the Dreo ChefMaker, today's sponsor. We've had it for a few months now, and this has become Monica and I's go-to kitchen appliance. We cook everything in this thing. It's a multi-stage combination cooker with 2 different cooking modes, from fully automated chef presets to popular classic cooking styles, and my favorite, which is what we're using today, the probe cooker. I love that thing. It's loaded with really cool features, like its water atomization, which adjusts the moisture and temperature settings while it's cooking. But even with all of the tech and different features and modes, it's incredibly simple to use. Really intuitive. So gang, click the link to order yours today. I know a lot of people have picked these up. They picked them up during the Kickstarter, and everyone is loving theirs so far. It really is fantastic. So click the link below, get up to 10% off. Okay, this thing's done.
It only took about 21 minutes, which is perfect. I want to do a second cook with this, which is going to be kind of like frying it. So I'm just going to unwrap it, cover it in a bit of olive oil, and toss it back in the Dreo. This time, I'm going to set it to air fry. This is going to get it kind of super puffed up. We're going to fry the outside to kind of form a skin. Now, maybe I had it puff up just a little bit too much, and I forgot to actually remove the second tray out of the Dreo. That was my fault. I knew I needed to do that because I needed that extra room, but we scorched the top of our seitan Seitan chicken here, and you know, that's okay. It's still gonna work. It doesn't ruin this at all. So now we're just gonna make a simple brine to give it that kind of like chickeny taste and remove the Seitan taste. So we're gonna start off with some pickle brine, just a little bit. We're gonna be using even parts pickle brine, rice vinegar, apple cider vinegar, a little sesame oil, and then I'm gonna season it with some smoked paprika and a little turmeric for some color, along with about 2 cups of cold water. Now you could just dunk this right into the broth, put something heavy on top to kind of push it down and make it into like a nice firm piece of chicken, but I'm going to be using a tofu press. I want this a little extra firm. So I'm just going to pour the liquid in, dump this in, and let it rest for about an hour. Now after the hour, you can see you have like a nice thick, what I'm going to call just a Seitan chicken breast here. There's a nice skin on top, even with that little burnt piece. Now I want to make this 2 separate like fillets. So I'm going to cut this through the center, and you could see, I mean, it is nice and chickeny. As it is, you could slice this up and start eating it. This is going to be really good. Toss it on a salad or something. It'll be great, even cold like this. But I'm going to season it with some Italian seasonings, just a little basil, a little oregano, maybe some salt and pepper. And now I'm going to grab the internal tray of the Dreo and a little bit of foil. I'm going to make like a little baking sheet out of it, put these pieces of chicken inside, and then we're going to be making our sauce for this. It's going to be kind of like a cream sauce. I'm going to be using coconut milk, just a whole small can, and then about a teaspoon and a half of lemon juice. Now I'm going to mince up about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, along with tearing up a little bit of basil and spinach. I think that's going to really help. Now I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of that starch water, just kind of drizzled over the top of the chicken and into the sauce. It's going to kind of help thicken everything up and also give it a little cheesy texture. It's going to be really cool. You'll see in the end. Now we're going to toss this in the Dreo ChefMaker, set it to bake at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes or so. Realize after a few minutes that I forgot to add some tomatoes. I was either going to use sun-dried tomatoes or fresh tomatoes, but get it started again and let this cook all the way through, and you can see it is done. This came out incredible. So while this was baking, I actually cooked up some fettuccine pasta. Now I didn't drain all of the water. I'm going to save a little bit of that because that's going to help thicken the sauce. So I'm going to pull the chicken out, add the sauce directly to the noodles, mix it up, and you could see how nice and creamy this gets. I'm going to slice up the chicken, and you can see, I mean, look at how chickeny this is. I cannot wait to try this. So let's plate this up. I'm going to add a little fresh basil to the top. I'm also going to add, I have these lupini beans. I thought they tasted a little cheesy, so I just want to see what Monica has to say about it. I've already tried it like this. I'm just going to grate this over the top of hers. So now I'm just curious. Let's see what Monica has to say. I know she's going to love this one.
Okay, so cheers. Let's start off with the chicken.
It's good.
It's pretty dang good.
Yeah. Tastes like what I would think chicken would taste like.
Yeah, there's like a really nice texture to it.
Even with the skin on there.
Yeah,
It's really
even with the
nice.
skin.
And it looks like chicken skin.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a grilled chicken. It's almost a little like, to be honest, like the texture is in between chicken and like seafood almost.
It's almost
Are
like
you getting like a shrimp kind of texture, but
yeah,
tougher?
like a fatty piece of chicken.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with that. So I want to see what you think about the sauce,
Okay.
about the chicken, the whole dish put together.
Okay,
Like,
so I'll start with the sauce and then the whole dish put together.
yeah, just the sauce and then the whole dish put together.
Can't seem to get a whole lot on my fork, but I'm getting there. I can't do it.
I don't know what you're doing, baby.
I'm trying. Sauce is creamy.
Yeah,
It's savory.
yeah.
It's got kind of like a cheesy like texture and almost a flavor as if like you cooked it in like a nice like chicken or like fake chicken or veggie broth or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like super creamy, really nice and cheesy. Everything in this was put together in the Dreo ChefMaker besides the noodles. The noodles were cooked in water, but everything else.
Oh, I love this pasta.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Super happy with it.
It all works really well together with the flavors and everything. Did you like cook the sauce in the
Yeah,
Dreo? You
the
did?
sauce, yeah, the sauce cooked with
amazing.
the chicken.
And then it just went over the pasta?
Yeah, and then I gave it a little bit of like a starchy kind of cheese on the chicken, which gave a really nice layer. Like you could actually like, you can taste that, you know, it definitely added to it. Thickened up the coconut milk. The tomato really worked in there really well.
Yeah.
Basil and spinach worked really well. I mean, the whole thing came together awesome. I mean, really, it worked out better than I thought it would. For Seitan chicken cooked in a combi cook, like air fryer setting, really, really nailed it. Well, this is dinner, baby, so
Okay.
boom.
Boom.
Here we go. Happy about that.
Dreo, thank you for sponsoring today's video and for coming up with this challenge. I found a new way to cook Seitan, and it came out really good.